Hey guys, Technoman here with the video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the iPad Air first generation in mid 2021 and if it's still worth it or not to buy this device, the good and the bad and everything you need to know about the iPad Air first generation that will kind of help you make a decision whether you're looking to buy it or still looking to use it or thinking about upgrading. But before we go ahead and get started, if you guys are new to our channel, we do a lot of tech news, reviews, and giveaways, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you guys are in the market for one of the discounted newer iPads or iPhones, make sure you guys check out the link in the description section. So let's talk about the iPad Air 1 in 2021. Well, the iPad Air 1 first generation was released back in November of 2013, and it's been almost close to 8 years later. This year it will become 8 years since this iPad was released. It's when it was released, it was a slick design from its other predecessors like the minis and the regular size iPad. So you'll notice the Air design is really slick in a lot of ways, and that's probably why it's one of our favorite iPad is the design and the uniqueness and the slickness of it, and being able to do a lot more and on the lighter weight side of the iPads out there in the market. You can get this iPad in two different colors, the space gray and the silver one. As you can see here, we have the silver edition one, but there is the space gray edition. There is no gold edition. Well, unlike some of the other Apple products, you have both the Wi-Fi and the Wi-Fi plus cellular model. As you can see here, we only have the Wi-Fi model, but if you have a nano-sized data SIM card, you can plug it in and you're good to go on the fly as well. So this iPad, as you'll notice here, it's a little bit bigger, as you mentioned, from the bigger mini. If you're comparing the mini series, the mini 2 is probably a good comparison with the iPad Air first generation. And other thing to note is that the weight of this device, it's around 1 pound. So if you're thinking about a lightweight iPad, something that's a tablet on the go, it's about 1 pound or so. Not too heavy, but not too light as well, like the mini. And it also has the unique display of a 9.7-inch LED backlit multi-touch display with IPS technology. And what that means is for it has a 2048 by 1536 resolution at 264 pixel per inch PPI is what, in other words, you call it. So the pixel density isn't great, but the resolution still is good in a lot of ways if you're comparing some of the other Apple products on the market. And let's talk about the chipset on it. This is going to be really important for an iPad like the Air first generation, is what kind of chipset you have. Well, the Apple does on this one have a A7 chip with a 64-bit and an M7 motion coprocessor to it. So if you think about iPad, what the newer lineup iPads have, almost a 14 Bionic chip, the 7, so it's almost the 7, close to 8 years of differences in terms of the generation of the hardware. And that's really important, especially when you get into heavier multitasking and gaming wise, and you're looking for iPad that can really pack a punch, is where you're going to be concerned with that hardware aspect of this iPad. Let's talk about the next thing, which is the camera of this iPad. And that's really important, especially if you're looking for a good camera iPad. What kind of camera experience can you get out of the Air 1? Well, a couple things here. The FaceTime camera here that we have here, it does a FaceTime camera. It's only a 720 pixel HD video, and it's a 1.2 megapixel for your photo, which surprisingly doesn't seem a lot, and it isn't a lot. But one thing to note is the 720 is pretty much what a lot of the phones, even to the latest the MacBooks that have. So I'm not sure why Apple hasn't started to update the front pixel on cameras, but that's what it is, and it's only 1.2 megapixel camera. In terms of video recording, you have things like it to be able to record 1080 pixel HD video. It has video stabilization, face detection, and things like backside illumination, and you're also able to zoom up to 3 times. As you can see here, zooming is possible on this iPad. Other thing to note is the camera here on the back side. We briefly mentioned it's a 5 megapixel camera, single camera, compared to the newer iPhones that have almost a 12 megapixel the triple lens camera. So video photography wise, probably not a device for that kind of stuff, but still gets you basic selfies and video recording done for it. Let's talk about the battery of the iPad Air here. That's important, especially for any tablet out there, because you want to be able to get a tablet that lasts off the battery for some time. And this is where the iPad Air does a good job. It does have a built-in 32.4 watt rechargeable lithium battery on it, which gives you around 10 hours of surfing on the web, on Wi-Fi, watching videos and listening to music and gaming as well. So you get around 10 hours is what Apple goes and advertises, but we say more around 7 to 8 hours. All depends on what kind of stuff you're doing, right? If you're doing things that require a lot of power, like some of the gaming, of course it's not going to last like that 10 hours Apple advertises. But if you're using it on the lighter side, you probably get easy somewhere between 9 to 10 hours with this device. A lot going on with this device, but still gets the job done. So let's talk about the next aspect, which is the software. So the iPad Air does ship with the iOS 9 software, and as you can see here, iOS 9, it's pretty much a older version of it, and if you haven't, you probably already updated to the latest that you can get on this, which is the iOS 12 on it. As you see here, if we go try to update this iPad to the latest version, we really can't, because Apple stopped the support for it. So you're able to get right now in mid 2021 iOS 12.5.3 here, which is the latest version at the time of recording this video. It does get software updates, so once in a while Apple releases some security updates and you're able to update it, but you can't get iOS 13 or 14 at all, because Apple has stopped the support because of that A7 chipset on it, not the Bionic version like the newer ones that are there. So that's in terms of the software. And when it comes to software, this is where you start talking about the experience and the apps that you're able to download on this iPad. You'll notice apps here we have downloaded here are some of the popular apps. One thing we start to notice, which is really important for you guys to probably understand, is that when you're trying to download apps, you're going to get this message where you're going to be downloading the older version of an app because that app isn't supported or that requires iOS 13 or 14. And this is the message you'll get. You'll still be able to download it. And the trick here, we did a video on this as well, is that if you're having issues downloading an app because it doesn't have iOS 13, is what you can do is go to the App Store. So this is a trick for you guys in this video. Of course, we made another in-depth video in our channel if you want to check it out. You want to sign into an Apple account that already has downloaded that app on a newer device that has iOS 13 or 14 like that. Once you have done that, what's going to happen is in your account setting, you're going to go to history and you're going to see that app appear there. And then you're going to want to do is go ahead and click on download here. So we'll show you guys let's go for apps, see if we can show you guys quickly. So if we want to, let's say, download, for example, Pandora here. Pandora requires iOS 13 and above. And we did this method where we downloaded Pandora on another device that had iOS 13 or 14 with this account. And then you get this message and we can now download it. And that's the issue that you're going to start to see with iOS 12, because iOS 12 is old and apps don't support older version of the iOS. They won't let you download it, but this is a quick workaround and you can go ahead and do it. Things like using this iPad for social media. You'll notice social media, you're still able to do all of that. For example, we have Twitter here. You can download Twitter. You can download Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, all of those apps. It does take a second or two to load, but once it's loaded and it's good to go, it will fire up and you can go on your way, start doing it. The one thing you'll notice if you use one of the newer Apple product is you do have a little bit of lag, maybe somewhere between a couple seconds to even 5-6 seconds sometimes, and you're gonna have to live with that if you're using this iPad, which is almost close to 8 years. So that's something to keep in mind because of the hardware and the updates to software. It's almost in its last phase, and we're starting to notice something that could be annoying, especially if you're looking for an iPad that's able to just multitask. This iPad gets the job done, but not to extend if you're really looking to crank out that gear and looking for something that really does a lot. Of course, this iPad does a phenomenal job for things like video streaming. If you're watching your favorite show, movies, whether it be on YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Amazon videos, whatever it is, it still is phenomenal because of that 9.5 display here. Watching movies and videos, you don't need a laptop, or even if you're looking to watch it besides on the TV, it gets all of that and much more done for us, of course. So in terms of for your entertainment purposes, you can do a lot of that, as we mentioned. Of course, if you're looking to use it for maybe for online classes, you can still do it for online classes. You can see here we have Zoom downloaded, Google Classroom, Docs, and all of that. You can do a productivity tool, things like, of course, your personal finances. You can do that as well. As you can see, all of these apps we downloaded are working for us. So that can do for light work. We wouldn't recommend this device for heavy work, like if you're really looking to do a lot with it, like video editing, document editing, even to a degree animations and things like that. You probably won't get it. The other thing is that the iPad Air first generation does not support the Apple Pencil, so that's another drawback to this device. And that brings us to our next point, is why the iPad Air still is good in 2021 and why it's not. Why it's not, as we mentioned here, is that it is running on a 2-generation old iOS. It's at pretty much end of life. It's been at an end of life. It doesn't support the pencil, and we're starting to see that slowness coming in, whether it be browsing or such. And Apple Pencil isn't supported, so if you're really looking to do a lot more, it's not going to be something that you are looking at. And why it might be good, a couple of reasons. It's really cheaper to get. You probably can get this iPad probably under $100 or less right now, depending on where you look at. If you look at eBay or Amazon, so it's on the cheaper side. It still does somewhat okay for video and recording. Not the best ideal for photographer, but it still does that. Of course, for your entertainment purposes, all of your popular apps are still going to be working. You just got to be a little bit patient for things like your social media, your music streaming, your video streaming. Once it gets going, it does start cranking up and doing it. Of course, a little bit of light casual gaming you can do. We wouldn't be recommending this one if you're looking to run games that are meant to be played on the console. Probably would look at the latest version of the iPad Air, like the iPad Air 4, which does pack a punch, but not the first generation. As you know, with anything, the first generation is only more time before improvements come out, and that's why we don't recommend heavier graphic games on this. So overall, cheap, slick design iPad at the end of its life. Not something you would look for if you're going to be looking for an iPad to run for the next couple of years. But in 2021, it will get the job done if you don't mind being patient and are looking for it to be an iPad for someone that doesn't mind the slowness, but still has support for some of the popular apps. Probably good iPad for a younger kid, not so for an adult. So that's our overall conclusion of it. If you guys been using or have this iPad or used it in the past, love to hear from you guys. Leave a comment in the comment section of your thoughts, and of course make sure while you're at it to hit that like and subscribe button for future tips and tricks and of course discussion on your electronics. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time.